Welcome viewers. I want to speak to farmers about a common challenge that many farmers experience, and that is being able to balance between high milk volume and milk butterfat content. You realize that farmers are torn between the opinions of being able to produce high milk volume and also being able to produce milk that has high milk butterfat content. So in this episode, we want to see some of the factors that contribute to milk volume and also the factors that can contribute to milk butterfat content. For example, if you are to breed your cows for milk volume, then the best bet is to breed Frisian cows, which genetically have the ability to give you high milk volume. But if you are to balance between milk volume and milk butterfat content, then the challenge becomes, because you realize that the genetic correlation between milk volume and milk butterfat content is negatively correlated. That means that if you breed your cows for high milk production, you end up having milk that is low in butterfat content. Similarly, as you breed your cows for high milk butterfat content, you realize that the cows eventually will be having low milk volume. Now, we want to see how to be able to manage this condition and be able to come up with a balance, or to be able to strike a balance on how you are able to ensure that your cows gives you high milk volume and at the same time you're able to achieve high milk butterfat content. Now, one of the very important factors to consider is management. You realize that as the cows, when they give birth, there's high milk butterfat content in the colostrum, but in the next 2 months or so, you realize that subsequently the milk butterfat content will be lower. But at the end of the second month or thereabout, you realize that the amount of milk butterfat content eventually starts to increase. So meaning that for you to be able to overcome this, the best way is to be able to synchronize your cows. For example, if you're selling your milk based on quality and based on the concentration of milk butterfat content, then the best idea is to be able to employ the concept of synchronizing your cows, so that you're able to sell the cows that are in the second stage of lactation, that is beyond 2 months, whereby most of the milk that will be produced from cows that are in the second stage of lactation are likely going to be high in milk butterfat content compared to the cows that are still in their first stage of lactation. Similarly, there are other conditions that are very, very important to consider if at all you are to achieve high milk volume and also be able to achieve milk that is high in milk butterfat content. And that is the aspect of health. You realize that the most important aspect to consider here is the concept of mastitis, and you realize that when we have mastitis, most importantly the subclinical mastitis, this means that the mastitis, that the clinical manifestation or the clinical signs are not quite obvious, but the cow, when it is tested, it is found to be having mastitis. When we have subclinical cases of mastitis, this tends to affect milk butterfat content, and similarly you realize that the milk fat percentage also is affected. Similarly, milk composition is also greatly affected when the cow has issues of mastitis. Also, we're going to look at the aspect of nutrition, and the common mistake that many farmers make is that when the cows give birth, they tend to ensure that they are challenging the cows with high concentrates. For example, high dairy meal. When you do that, then what you're going to do is that you're going to affect the microbial population in the rumen, whereby you're going to affect directly fermentation or digestion in the rumen. When that comes to actualization, then you realize that you're going to have low amount of acetic acid and also low amount of butyric acid, which are also very important for milk butterfat content. When we have high volumes of propionic acid, then you realize that we're going to have also issues with high production of lactic acid. When we have so much high production of lactic acid, that also affects fiber digestion in the rumen. When we have decreased fiber digestion in the rumen, then also too much production of glucose from too much propionic acid being produced directly triggers the production of insulin. When we have high production of insulin, then you realize that it will affect the sequestration of free fatty acids from the adipose tissue, and therefore the animal eventually will produce milk that has low milk butterfat composition. Similarly, there is also a very important aspect of management, and that is the management during the milking process. You realize that as you milk, the first few drops of milk will tend to have low butterfat content of milk, but then as you continue with the milking, you realize that the milk butterfat percentage increases gradually. If you are to consider the duration of milking, and also if you are to consider the interval of milking, this also really matters in terms of being able to achieve milk that is high in milk butterfat content. This is because many a times the fat globules normally get trapped in the milk alveoli, and therefore if you milk incomplete, or when you do incomplete milking, then you tend to leave most of the fat globules still trapped in the milk alveoli of the udder, and therefore most of your milk will be having low milk butterfat content. So the idea is to ensure that you do complete milking so that you're able to increase the amount or the concentration of milk fat percentage in milk. So now the challenge will be when you're doing your milking, especially if you're using a milking machine, ensure that the milking machine is well calibrated, and if that is not the case, then you can complete the milking process through hand milking. Now, on the management, or one of the ways or innovative ways that have been employed in the field is to be able to see how possible can it be that you're able to achieve high milk volume and same time you're able to achieve high milk fat percentage. I know the best way is to do breeding so that the cows that you breed has the capacity to give you high milk volume. But like I did say initially, is that the genetic correlation of milk volume and milk butterfat percentage is negatively correlated. So many times as you breed, you get cows that are able to give you high milk volume, but the cows, the other hand, will give you milk that has low milk butterfat content. If you are to compare against various breeds, Frisians, they have low heritability for milk butterfat content. That means that genetically they're not able to give you milk that is high in milk butterfat content. If you to compare that against Jerseys have high heritability for high milk butterfat content, and they also have low heritability for high milk yield or high milk volume. Now, on the management, we want to ensure that our cows genetically have the potential to give us high milk volume, but at the same time, they have the capacity of giving us milk that has high butterfat content, and we want to see how we're able to use nutrition to be able to correct this genetic issue. Now, we have various nutritional supplements that are available in the field. For example, we have a product by the name White Energy, and White Energy is a rumen bypass fat. So White Energy is given to cows immediately they give birth, and because it's a rumen bypass fat, whenever it is broken down, it gives you high energy value, which is very important in the process of milk synthesis. Same time, White Energy has fat content of about 85%, so it increases the amount of fatty acids that is under production in the mammary gland, and therefore by default you ensure that cows, apart from being able to increase milk volume because of the high energy that is available in White Energy, the presence of the fatty acids up to about 85% in White Energy ensures that the milk will be produced, the milk that has high milk fat percentage. So White Energy is given at a dosage of 100 to 150 grams on a daily basis from the onset of calving throughout the first lactation period. That is the first 4 to 5 months when the cow just gives birth, so that now you're able to achieve the peak milk production and also the milk production potential of that particular cow. So this way we're able to achieve high milk volume, and also at the same time we're able to achieve high milk butterfat percentage through the use of nutrition when we use white energy, which is a very important supplement that is used from day one when the cows just calf down. Thank you for watching this episode. Until next time, thank you very much. This is Dr. Nicky Omolo.